Hi and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I'm Lisa, also known as ladolcelisa, and as you can see before you is my most beloved scone recipe. I truly make the best scones. They are delicious and I felt as though it was finally time to share this with you. I love to make them around the Christmas and holiday season, but you can make them any time of the year. They're perfect as an afternoon tea party. They're truly delicious. I personally use raisins in my recipe, but you can omit this. The options are endless. They are best served just warm, split open with butter and jam, but if you have clotted cream, of course, that makes them even better. They are so perfect for a Christmas brunch, so I figured now is the time to share this recipe with you. They're fluffy, they're soft, they are truly so easy to make. Honestly, you're going to be so glad that this scone recipe is part of your repertoire. So without further ado, here is my recipe for classic, delicious, buttery, scrumptious scones. Let's make them. You can do this by hand, but I personally find that a food processor makes this come together so quickly, it's incredible. So if you have one, simply add 3 cups of all-purpose flour right to your food processor. Of course, if you'd like to do this by hand, by all means go ahead. The process is pretty much the same. Next, we are going to be adding 2 tablespoons of baking powder right to the mix. We of course start off with our dry ingredients. Next, you are going to be adding half a teaspoon of salt right to the mix. And as well, we are going to be adding 1/3 of a cup of sugar, just simply white sugar. 1/3 of a cup makes these sweet, but not too sweet at all. So you can feel free to add jam after as you're eating them, and everything is perfectly balanced. So once you have all of the dry ingredients in the food processor, I like to give this a quick mix just to incorporate everything. This literally will take you about 30 seconds, I would say. So just pulse this. And of course, if you're doing this by hand, just simply mix it with a whisk. Next, we are going to be removing the lid and we are going to be adding our half a cup of butter. This is cold butter, but it's not absolutely frozen cold. You can keep this at room temperature for even like 20 minutes before you're making this recipe. By all means, this is a very forgiving recipe, I find. So place the lid back on the food processor and give this a good pulse. You'll probably be pulsing for about a minute or so. You really just want the butter to be perfectly cut into the flour mixture. So if you're doing this by hands, do this very carefully. I find that it's always best to grind the butter in with a grater. As you can see, we have a sandy mixture. So the butter is incorporated, but it's nice and thick and sandy. This is exactly what we're looking for. Now we can add the wet ingredients like the 1 egg right into the mix, as well as 1 tablespoon of vanilla extract. This gives them such a delicious flavor, but you can substitute any extract of your choice. And 1 cup of milk. I like to use milk. You can even substitute this for 5% cream if you don't have milk on hand, or you can even use a plant-based milk. Now the lid goes back on and we're going to pulse this. I'm not speeding things up. This is how quickly this comes together. I truly want you to see how fast this takes because everything is going to turn into a dough right before your eyes and you do not want to overmix. See, we're done. Next, we are going to be flouring a clean surface, so just a light drizzle of flour, and we're going to essentially dump our dough on there and work it in with our hands. But before that, I like to add raisins. I love golden raisins, so I just add about 1/4 of a cup of raisins, but by all means, you can leave this out. You can substitute it with cranberries. Now we're going to just give this a mix to incorporate. So raisins or not, you do want to work your dough, but definitely do not overwork it. Lightly have it come together so that it is not overly sticky. And we have a lovely dough here. So with a floured surface and clean hands, I'm going to then sort of shape this into a disc shape, just enough so that I can cover this with plastic wrap because we will be refrigerating this dough. So this dough is going to be refrigerated for about an hour or even overnight if you'd like to do this the night before and bake them off the next morning. So after the at least 1 hour in the fridge, when you're finally ready to bake, we are going to be preheating our oven to 425 degrees Fahrenheit. Next, we are going to be taking our dough out of the fridge and we are going to be placing this on a floured surface, a lightly floured surface. This dough should be not too sticky at this point after it has been refrigerated for at least the 1 hour. And we are going to be lightly dusting this with some more flour and simply rolling this out. This dough is actually quite a soft dough. It is pretty workable, so we are not going to be overly rolling this dough out. We actually want this to be quite thick. I would say at least 1 inch thick is perfect, just like that, as you can see, because the thicker the better, the higher the rise you'll have on your lovely scones, and they will be doubling in size in the oven. So I simply take a round cookie cutter. This cookie cutter, it is about 2.5 inches wide, I believe. So I would say a medium cookie cutter, not too big, not too small. This is the perfect size for these scones. And we are going to be getting exactly 1 dozen scones out of this recipe. So 12 scones will come out of this recipe, and you can see how I just simply rework this dough. Typically, it is not recommended to rework your dough too many times, but I love to get out every last scrap of this dough. And I find that even if the scones, the last few, 2 or 3, are not the most beautiful, they're still absolutely delicious. Even Luna agrees. So I'm rolling this out, and I will be getting 2 more scones out of this tiny little dough. I just wanted to show you the entire process because this does make exactly 12 lovely scones. See, even the last one is absolutely beautiful. Next, we're going to be making our egg wash. So crack 1 egg into a bowl, and I do like to add a splash of cream, but that is absolutely optional. Just mix that up, and we are going to be brushing this on top of our scones right before they go into our warm oven. So simply brush them with a light egg wash here, and this will make the tops a little bit brown, and they are going to be quite lovely. So these scones will be doubling in size, they'll be getting lightly browned, they'll be delicious. So after you have brushed them with the egg wash and your oven is set to 425 degrees, they are ready to be baked. I like to bake them for about 12 to 14 minutes, so keep an eye on these. As you can see, they're beautiful. With a closer look, look how beautiful they are. You can see that they have doubled in size. So they went from being about 1 inch thick to 2 inches thick. Look how lovely. I like to place these to cool on a wire rack. By the Christmas tree is optional, of course. And you can see the bottoms. They are nicely browned, but they are not burnt. If they are burnt, maybe you're using the wrong pan. These scones are best consumed immediately from the oven, so super warm, but I like to keep them in an airtight container or just in a bread basket. As you can see, the options are endless. I even sometimes just make a simple icing with just some powdered sugar and cream or milk and just spread those on top. They're gorgeous iced, but I love them plain. I love to break them open. As you can see, they're so fluffy and delicious inside, and I truly love to spread them with either butter or even clotted cream. If you have it on hand, all the better. So just spread that little scone up. Place some delicious jam on top, the jam of your choice, of course. Whipped cream is optional, but look how festive. And of course, take a delicious bite. They are warm, they're soft, they're buttery, they're pillowy, they're chunky, they're everything you want in a scone. I love them with raisins, but of course you can keep them plain. The options are endless here. You can do them with lemon zest, you can do them with almond extract, however you like these scones. They are truly delicious. So I'm so happy to be sharing this recipe with you all. The full recipe will be on my blog post, ladolcelisa.com. So I will link the exact recipe with some more pictures and some further writing tips and tricks on there for you. So please check out my blog at ladolcelisa.com for the full recipe linked in the description box. So thank you so much for being here with me. I'm so happy to finally share this incredible scone recipe with you all. And if you do like this and want more recipes, please give this a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe to my channel for more videos like this one. Happy baking and Merry Christmas if you're celebrating.